Hi there, I'm meteorologist Brooks Garner. I work in Orlando, Florida at Fox 35, and we study the tropics a lot. But I'll show you something that is very uncommon, although not terribly unheard of, a way out of season tropical system potential. And that's exactly what the National Hurricane Center is tracking between Bermuda and New England. Now, this is not going to happen. It's got a 0% chance of actually developing. But you know that old saying, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, well, maybe it's a duck? In this case, this thing looks like a little hurricane, doesn't it? It's got an eye wall feature to it. It's got thunderstorms in the center. It's got a concentric buzz saw-like shape. I mean, goodness, to the untrained eye, this is a tropical system and it's way out of season. Is this the first tropical system of the 2023 hurricane season? Thankfully, no. It is not. And the reason is that it is over waters that are simply not warm enough to support a tropical system, and it's on the very edge of some very cold polar air. In fact, it's in a frontal zone, the center circulation right here. It's sitting over the Gulf Stream, and that's partially where it's getting its energy from, at least the thunderstorms rotating around its center of circulation. But because it's got very cold air back toward the west and warm air back toward the east, it's in what's called a baroclinic zone. That is where you have a contrast in temperatures that drives the low pressure system. That's where you get frontal zones, like a cold front and a warm front. And so while this does look like a tropical system, it is not a tropical system. But as far as conditions are on the ocean for shipping lanes and for shipping interests, it's got storm force winds, it's got thunderstorms in the center. Effectively, it's a fast moving system, which essentially represents a tropical system. But that said, officially it's not. It's sitting in cold air, so by definition, it cannot be. And as it continues to work north and eastward, it's going to get into some cold water. But I want to show you what it looks like in Orlando. In case you're wondering, it's all about the sunshine here in 67 degrees. That's Florida in the wintertime. In the hurricane season, it's a much different picture. So we can let our guard down from this one. It's moving away, and as it moves into the colder waters of the North Atlantic Ocean, eventually it'll lose even these quasi-tropical characteristics, which is why the Hurricane Center has this at a 0% chance of development. It's simply not going to happen. Over the next 24 to 48 hours, it'll get sucked into a frontal zone. It'll lose those characteristics, and it'll just be a footnote of the 2023 winter season. But I do want to say one more thing. You know, sometimes we get strong nor'easters that work up from the mid-Atlantic into New England. And actually, this is an appendage of one of those systems that brought some snow to southern New England. It's called a Norland trough, short for Northland trough. But it's NOR, Norland trough. Anyway, that said, sometimes these nor'easters can wrap up and actually produce an eye. Now, it's not an actual eye like you get in a hurricane where it's a warm air process in a heat engine. It's oftentimes from dry air being pulled into the system, and arguably there's a little bit of dry air being pulled into this system. It's just kind of a fluke with the thunderstorms wrapping around it. That said, weather is a developing science. We're already studying it, and we're always tracking the tropics. Well, I appreciate you watching. I'm meteorologist Brooks Garner of Fox 35 in Orlando. If you liked what you saw and you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you subscribe to us and ring the bell. We've got a lot of content right here on Fox 35, not just for Florida, but for the U.S. and the world. We're always keeping an eye on the weather. Thanks for watching. Have a good one, and I'll see you on the socials.